Okay. If you're watching this very beginning part, you're going to want to skip forward a little bit if this isn't live anymore. I am right now just sharing this with various people who would like me to let them know when I'm streaming live, and then we'll get straight into it. Just 1 second. I do apologize, but for realsies. Again, if you're just now jumping on here, you're going to want to skip forward a little bit more. We are going to be setting up a hard foam case in this video, but I'm sharing it with various people who are always interested when I go live. And just a couple more things to finish up. And it looks like we're just about good to go. Okay. Let's see if I can get this all set up really quickly. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be setting up a hard case, essentially, for all of our equipment, or all of my equipment, because I have a bad habit of not bringing all my equipment with me all the time, or losing it, misplacing it, and having to search for it before I go into a photo session, and it sucks, and I hate doing that a lot. And so I'm just wanting to get this figured out. Let's see here. All right, how do I mess with this stream? Oh, crap. Oopsies. I think I did something wrong while sharing that. I did indeed. I did indeed. Get a few more people on here. Looks like I am almost completely set up. I do have everything. Now I have a few things. So I have, for the most part, I use this. This is a Pelican case. This is the everyday case, carry case, the big bag. I got this one from Nick Del Duca. Most of my equipment I used. That's just, see, I keep staring at myself over here. I should be staring right up there in order to speak with you guys. Let's see here. Okay, so I don't know how much this delay is. But you guys are going to get to see all of my mess ups, all of them. And there might be some, I don't know. I'm going to get this mouse out of the way so we can really get into this. Okay, so like I was saying, I generally use this. This is the Pelican, or not the Pelican, the Peak Design Everyday Carry. I really, really love this bag. It's really, really handy. It holds a lot of stuff, but I lose stuff inside that bag, and I try my best not to lose stuff inside that bag, but it happens. I'm actually move this so that I can look at. Oh, there we go. That's better. So I generally have an issue where I like to stare at that to make sure if anyone's commenting or anything, so move the camera. But instead, we are switching it up to one of these. This is however you pronounce that brand. I'm not 100% sure how you pronounce that brand, but this right here is a hard case, and it is my alternative hard case to the Pelican cases. Pelican cases are extremely expensive, and if any of you know my channel, you know that I am budget friendly and I try to do things as reasonably budget friendly and cheaply as humanly possible, which should explain all the Samyang lenses. But so we have the ELR little hard case right here, and I figured I would live stream me picking the foam out of it and putting the cameras in, and we could talk photography as I was doing that. So if this isn't the live stream anymore, I hope you found the right spot. It's at 5:55 minutes or so in, and I will put a timestamp down below. 1 second. Okay, I had to take care of little doggo, and I'm back. So there we are. So we have the hard case. We are going, as you can see, I have not done any of the foam picking yet, and I want to try to get all of my YouTube equipment to fit in this. Now, originally I had purchased this to get our Super 8 digital camera around, and I am going to get another case for that. It'll probably be a smaller one. I feel like I'm wasting space by using that just specifically for this. Hello, whoever joined the chat. I don't know how to check that, so I am new to this. Is that how you do it? Nope. I don't know how to check it. So whoever just joined, please say hi so I know who you are, because I don't know how to look at that. But yeah, so we are going to try to shove all of my YouTube equipment for on-location photography into this bag, or into this hard case. We're not replacing the Peak Design bag. The Peak Design bag is irreplaceable. It is such an awesome, amazing little bag. Instead, we are just going to be using both. They both have different purposes. This one right here is specifically going to be for more location stuff. So like when we did the video with Ariana at the coffee shop, which, well, I guess I can't link it right up there, but if you're looking for it, it was my New Year video. And a hard case would have been a lot handier than lugging around a giant bag. So I figured the hard case is the route to go for that, as well as once we start getting into the studio more with things starting to open up. So let's get everything kind of lined up and see how it works. We have the Sony A73, which you guys probably remember from many of my videos on it. Sorry, my grandmother was just calling. I was just letting her know that I'm live streaming. But so, Sony A73. This one's going to fit pretty easily. It's not a really big deal, but we're going to try to get that in there. The Sony A6100, which I mostly use for vlogging, we're going to get that in there. And as you can see, both the Sony A7 III and the A6100 have the Swiss mounts on the bottom. That's because of the K&F concept tripod that I use. The ball head has the Swiss mount on it, and so that makes it actually really, really handy and really convenient for me to get around. We are also going to be putting in my Rode wireless mic along with the transmitter. 3 batteries for the A6100, because when you're doing 4K video, it just chews away battery life. At least one of my GoPro batteries, if not both of them, for the GoPro Hero 8. We have the GoPro Hero 8 itself that we're going to get in there. The K&F Concept step-down rings that I use with the K&F Concept variable ND filter, that's going to go in there, as well as the Black Mist 1/4 Pro Nano filter. And we've done videos on all of those if you guys want to check out my channel. The Samyang 85mm f1.4 is going to go in there. The Samyang 50mm f1.4, and the Samyang 18mm f2.8. These are the only 3 lenses I currently have for the Sony full frame. So let's try to do a layout so we can figure out exactly how we want to go in there before we start pinching foam. I am going to be removing the Swiss mounts. I can put those somewhere else. I can actually, if I have room, I can pinch away some space for these to fit in there. So Sony A7100 fits very nicely right over here. That can hang out. It doesn't need to have its own little location. Pull the Swiss mount off my A6100. There we are. That one will fit nicely right there. So far, so good. Actually, I could probably pull the microphone jack out. I don't know yet. We will figure that out. The 85 millimeter fit nicely there. 50 millimeter fit very nicely right there. My 18 millimeter fit right there. The 3 batteries. We ran out of space relatively quickly. You know, I don't use the A6100 a whole lot on location, so we might just nix that from the grouping here, but we can fit the GoPro right here. The GoPro fits. Very nice. If you want to lay down, you can lay down. The GoPro fits right there. 2 GoPro batteries can go right over here. And then the K&F concept stuff. And see, this is where we might be taking the A6100 out of the hard case, is because this stuff gets used way more on location than the A6100 does. And because of that, I can use this for more location style videos. So we might nix the A6100 out of this. What do you guys think? I'm going to show you my current setup before we start pinching foam. So the A73, the A6100, GoPro batteries, A6100 batteries. The GoPro would probably sit like this: 50 millimeter f1.4, 85 millimeter f1.4, and the 18 millimeter f2.8. But if we remove the A6100, we take these batteries out as well, that'll give us room for our K&F concept black mist filter, the variable ND filter, and the variable ND filter, as well as the step down rings, which I use a whole lot more. So that'll probably be the route that we go. But we have a general idea of how I want this all set up. We're going to start pinching foam. We're going to start with the A73, that location. So I'm going to pull this stuff out. GoPro batteries, A6100 batteries. Let's see here. Okay, so 50 millimeter, 85 millimeter, f2.8, 18 millimeter, the GoPro Hero 8. So now we have the Sony, the A7 III. So I kind of want to get an idea. I lined it up. There's this convenient little line around the edge where you're not supposed to pinch any foam out. So I'm going to line it up along that edge, and we can just start there. I'm going to grab a Sharpie so I can mark the general outline going out from that line. I thought I was a bit more prepared than I actually am. Hello, everyone who's joined. Looks like there are 5 of you. Let's see here. So we're going to go right there, right here, right there, there. Sharpies really are like the handiest thing in the world. It's almost as handy as gaffer's tape. Some of you old school photographers might know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to gaffer's tape, especially if you've used bellows cameras. It doesn't leave a residue. It's light tight. It's absolutely fantastic. As you can see, I have my lines now. So we can start, literally, you just pinch it out chunk by chunk. Just like that. Actually, this is easier than the Pelican that I've used in the past. Much easier than the Pelican foam that I've used in the past. Yeah, this is going way faster, way faster. So if you guys, any of you have any questions or anything while I'm streaming, please feel free to leave it in a comment. Like, I'll totally respond. I like live streaming. I don't do it nearly as often as I would like to, just because life gets in the way sometimes. But I love the live interaction with people. That's probably one of my favorite things about live streaming and the YouTube platform. I do want to live stream some of the photo sessions that we do, some of the portrait sessions we do. The problem is in real life, for those of you who know me, you know, I swear a lot. And so, especially on location at a shoot, on location on an actual photo session, I swear a lot. And so YouTube doesn't really like that. Like, I don't know if any of you have noticed, but I stopped saying, or I've tried to stop saying photo shoot. I use the term photo session a lot in my videos, and that's because shoot has been flagged as a naughty word, a trigger word. YouTube does not like that term at all. So sometimes they sneak through. Sometimes they sneak through and I say it, and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. I can't edit it out afterwards. I'm not like Wrangler Star, where I wear the same outfit for absolutely everything. So I can't just go and do a retake in the same outfit. Or sometimes I'm on location with Nick, and Nick Del Duca has gone home, and because he's gone home, I can't exactly redo what we did. Oh, that actually, does it close? No, it doesn't. We're gonna have to go deeper. That's okay. Can I go deeper? Oh, I can't go deeper. Sweet. Sweet. But yeah, Wrangler Star like wears the exact same outfit like every single day. That way he can go and redo his videos if he needs to, and I don't do that. So I don't always have that luxury of doing that. So I swear a lot, which is why I haven't done a live stream at a location. If we start getting more monetization, or not monetization, more sponsorships, I've had a few, but if I start getting more sponsorships, we can start live streaming that, and I won't worry about it, whether or not it is monetized, because it doesn't really matter if you have a sponsor, as long as they're okay with it. Some sponsors would not be okay with it. I know I've worked with a couple of sponsorships, and they very clearly stated that it has to be, the video has to be family friendly, or the work I'm doing has to be family friendly. So there's always that. Yeah, this foam is so much easier to use than the Pelican case foam, at least from my experience. Pelican case may have changed their foam recipe or the way they cut it out. But yeah, it's literally just like a little, I think it's 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, little rectangles, essentially. I wasn't great at geometry, so. And you just pinch it out, pull it out, throw it away. Move on to the next one. Try to make the shape that you want as best you can. I can get an X-Acto knife in there later and really clean it all up so it looks nice too, but let's see how that fits. Hey, look at that. Does it close this time? And it closes. I might need to remove some more foam. Yeah, that piece can come out. I mean, I want it tight, but I also want to be able to, you know, pull my camera out afterwards. So let's see if that worked. Oh, it did. Look at that. And this is a nice little alternative to the Harbor Freight cases. It's about the same price. I think I paid the same for this as you would pay for the Harbor Freight cases. That actually fits a lot better. And we're good to go. So we have the spot for the camera taken care of. Now let's figure out these lenses. That's the other problem with the live streaming, is some places get mad about that. Okay, so now the three lenses I use for the Sony are the Samyang 85 millimeter 1.4, the 50 millimeter 1.4, and the 18 millimeter 2.8. And I do plan on expanding on the lens selection that I have. Samyang their lenses are so cheap, there's no reason not to, really. And now that I know that I have a base layer too that I can work with, so we're gonna leave a couple cubes between each lens. So we're definitely going to be removing the A6100 from the hard case. This bag will have a different use to it. Or the hard case. Okay, so I like how these go. So I'm gonna mark them. And I do use the lens shades. So because I use the lens shades, I'm going to mark it out to fit with the lens shade. So we've got 85 done. So you guys can see what I'm doing. Since we're taking the A6100 out of the hard case, just because it doesn't go on location with me all that often. The GoPro goes on location way more often than the A6100. The A6100 primarily sits on a tripod at my house almost at all times. And actually, we'll put it here for ergonomics. And we might have to update to a bigger one once I get more lenses, but that remains to be seen. So as of right now, at least, there we go. They're not perfect circles, but that's okay. Perfect circle. Oh, well. Now we'll just start picking. And so that's really all this is just picking foam. And it's super easy to do, and it's like it looks super clean when it's all done. Everything fits very nicely. It's all very secure and safe and not in danger of being broken, which is always nice. The weird thing is it's kind of like Minecraft because these are foam squares that we're picking out, and the lenses are round. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm sure it'll still actually look pretty clean and look pretty good. All right, let's keep at our picking. I mean, it is a kind of a tedious process, but it'll look well worth it when it's all said and done. Now, I did have a hard case at one point in time where you actually had to physically use a razor blade. Like it wasn't all convenient like this where you could just pick the foam out. There we go. I put so many of them just on the, just like crossing over, that it isn't quite the cleanest pick. That's okay. All right, let's see how that barrel fits. Actually fits quite nicely. So I actually want these to go in this way down. And I might get some flack for what I'm about to do, but I'm going to take the cap off. So I can draw inside this case. Actually, it might be easier just for me to pick it all the way down because there's foam on the bottom as well. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep picking. The first ones are always the most difficult to get out for one reason or another. We're making good progress now. Yeah, there's nice foam on the bottom. The foam on the very bottom of this is just like this. But I'm going to have to actually go and get an X-Acto knife because I don't currently have an X-Acto knife. And if I want to clean up these corners really nicely, I'm going to need a razor blade for that. Because, again, the lenses are round and the cubes come out like squares. It's like Minecraft. Okay, let's see how that fits in there. Is that down far enough for me to close this? The 85 might be too big for this case. No, it shouldn't be. I think we're getting stuck on something. Right. How's that 50 fit? Actually, it's not too bad. We're going to have to change the plans, though, because I think the 85 is too tall. I put it in there. I just didn't like how hard it was to put in there. Oh, they're really close to the same height, so it might not be. Oh, yeah, it was stuck on something. Let's try this again. Yeah, because I think it's, oh, yeah. So I have about 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches on that bottom layer of foam that can compress. So I don't have any bulking. from pressure on that lens. See. Yeah, see, without this foam in there, it fits basically perfectly. And then there's another 1-inch one or 1.5-inch one on the very bottom. So I think that that actually is going to work out perfectly. Compress the foam on the top and bottom, and we have it in there. Perfect. Sweet. So the 85mm spot is done. Cool. We're going to work on the 18mm next. Let's see here. Okay. Now that I'm getting a little more confident in my drawing abilities, pull out slightly bigger chunks. Okay, there we go. Pulling chunks out of this thing. Very time consuming. That's okay. It's not a big deal. Again, this one's square, but 18mm. We might be taking the shades off. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do it without the shades. So these right here, this is, you know, a sunshade to keep the sun off of it. But if we do it without those, I mean, that's a lot of bulk. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to transport these around, or not use it. You know, in reality, I probably wouldn't use this case for outdoor photography. I wouldn't want it to get stolen. That's what the Peak Design really is for. This is more for studio, so I wouldn't really use my sunshades in the studio. My visors, or whatever you call them. Everyone calls them something a little bit different. I would just call it a lens shade. Let's see here. Last two pieces out. Oh, there's one more. Wow, that one just gets absorbed right in there, doesn't it? I don't have to worry about that one being squished. That just absorbs right in. Very nice. Now the 50mm, the Samyang 50 f1.4, and I absolutely adore the Samyang 50mm. That f1.4 is absolutely amazing. It is the first lens I've ever reviewed that I've given a 10 out of 10 for, because it is absolutely just that amazing of a lens. It is so fast, and even at f1.4, it's just ridiculously sharp. So yeah, we're really getting some of that off of there. There we are. Let's see how it fits. Just stop by, say a quick hello. Cool to see you live. Oh, thanks, VG. Yeah, no, I don't do this as often as I should. I like doing the live streams. I really, really do. Hey, look at that. There we go. I need to go live more often. So one of the things about my videos is like I don't actually have a script. Generally, I have a brief outline of what I want to talk about, but I don't have a written script. And sometimes I just improv it. And you can ask Nick Del Duca. I work with him a lot, but a lot of the videos we do is literally it's off the cuff. I know what I want to talk about because we've thought about it. We've talked about it so much that I know the points that I want to make. I know the things that I want to talk about. And so we just kind of attack the problem, and 9 times out of 10, we just do it in one take, which is really, really fantastic. And it always gets me really excited when we go out and do some photography and talk shop. I don't really care how clean this part looks right now because I want the camera to fit more smoothly. This should help. This is not going to be as clean. So one thing I have to say about the Pelican case is the cubes are generally smaller. This one's got the larger cubes, so it's not going to look as clean unless I use an X-Acto knife, like I was saying earlier in the stream. I don't have an X-Acto knife, so I can't really use one. And wide camera, but that's okay. You can see if that worked. That works swimmingly. So that's what we have so far. Camera too high up or what? The camera may have been too high up. No, we're getting stuck somewhere. Yeah, that's where I was getting stuck. Yeah, thank you. I did get the Sony that I desired. Right now we're trying to make it all fit. And I was able to get it to fit earlier when I first started this, but it is kind of giving me a hard time right now. I don't want to compress it too much. This is my first time trying it with all the lenses. That might be too tight. No, it's not. So I have 2 inches on the top and bottom with the foam. And I think, well, I made the impressions, so that is going to help. Yeah, no, I get that. The Olympus with or without the grip, like that would be a pretty difficult choice to make. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's because it's right here. I'm going to flip the foam around and I'm going to see if it works better that way. How do you like the Olympus? I was looking at those. I actually been looking at a few cameras recently. I was looking at the Yashica Y35, the ones that took the digi canisters, I think they called them. So it would emulate different film stock based on that. And I was looking at them because I really kind of wanted one for some reason. And they're like $500. And I was like, I'm not paying $500 for that. And they're $500 used for like an old, I guess they're not really that old overall, but they're still $500 used, which is a ridiculous price, if you ask me, for a camera that was a flop. Okay, let's see if this works out better for us. Okay. I know the 18 is going to fit, but I just got to make sure. I love it so much. See, and that's kind of what I was reading about them. Like people who own Olympuses, like they love their Olympuses. Oh, that is so much easier to close. Yeah, exactly. And they're like $500 or $600. Like it is ridiculously expensive for something that was just a toy. Now, in your opinion, is that too much compression? That might be too much compression. I might be out of my league here. Oh, yeah, no, see, I did not hear that part. I did hear the Lumix had really good menus, but I didn't hear anything negative about the Olympus menus. It's like if I pull this guy out, it fits perfectly. But it defeats the purpose of a foam case if I pull that out. And so, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't use the Sony menus nearly as often as I probably should in reality. So I got lots of compression. Okay, I have heard some bad things about the old Sony menus. That is for real. I have heard some bad things about the old Sony menus. So, okay, in your opinion, is that too much pressure to apply? Like, it doesn't seem bad. I just don't want to crush my lenses. I wonder if I can get away with popping some of these off. I don't want to do too many of them. Use my friend's A72, and it's so yeah. That's what Nick Del Duca was telling me. That Canons have. I will stand by the statement. This is a hill I will die on. Canon has always been the most, generally speaking, user-friendly brand when it comes to their menus and setups and settings and all that stuff. They are, generally speaking, the most user-friendly system. Actually, that actually seems to be better to have it set up like that. I've always liked the Canon menus. I just wish that their mirrorless cameras were, not ridiculously priced for lenses. Like, 70 Mark I never used one. Yeah, no, Canons are absolutely amazing when it comes to that stuff. The R6 that I tested in that series, the R6 versus the A73, the R6 was so much friendlier to get used to. Like, I had months of practice with the Sony A73. I had been borrowing it from Nick for like forever. And so I had months of practice with it, and the Canon still felt more intuitive to me. But man, the lenses, the RF lenses, there's not very many of them, and they are so expensive. See, Canon ergonomics with DSLRs, in my opinion, are definitely better. Their mirrorless, though, is too big. The mirrorless, the R6 is just ridiculous in size. Like there's no excuse for it to be that big. Like I wanted a mirrorless because I have tiny hands. I wanted something small. And that's ultimately where the decision to go with Sony came from. And that I could find lenses for it at a reasonable price. A very, very, very reasonable price. Okay. Yeah, the Sony lenses are. Yeah, no, that's the thing too. Is I picked up an Olympus at a local store, and it seemed like it was really, really well set up, well thought out, and well done. I have bigger hands, and Sony felt cramped, more cramped than ever. Yeah, no, the Lumix that I was looking at, the same kind of thing. No, the Sonys are tiny. And I'm even looking at getting an A7C, which is even smaller. Like this is a small camera, but like it's small, but my fingers fit like perfect. Like it fits my hand perfectly. I have tiny, tiny hands. And actually, a couple of female photographers I know, they have the same size hands as I do. They were looking at, excuse me, I have to sneeze. They were looking at going into mirrorless, and they were talking about the Canon. And I actually had them hold Nick Del Duca's Canon and hold the Sony because of that difference. And they both ended up going with Sony again, simply because hand size. Thank you. But yeah, simply because of hand size, they ended up going with the Sony because it fit in their hand better, which is, you know, I mean, that's really important when you're thinking of, you know, what camera you're going to be getting, is how well does it fit in your hand. If you've got bigger hands. The M1S. Really? I didn't know that. I did not know that. That's actually pretty interesting. The EM1S, yeah. Yeah, the Sony A73 is tiny. No, the A7C is this size. So it is a full frame camera that's about this big. This is an A6100. And so like it's this tiny, tiny, tiny little professional camera. And my goal is to get one of those because I kind of want to get kicked out of one of those places that says you can't have professional camera equipment. Meow Wolf, to be specific, is the one that I want to get kicked out of. Well, maybe not kicked out of. I want to try to sneak the camera in. That's really what I'm getting at. Is I want to sneak the camera in and see if I can get away with. Yeah, okay. They define it on their website. If it has interchangeable lenses, it's professional. So the A7C with the Samyang, this is my theory. The A7C with the Samyang 35 millimeter pancake lens. Yeah, okay. Whatever I just did, like, worked. But the A7C with the 35 millimeter pancake lens looks like a power shot almost. And because it looks like a power shot, I figure I can sneak it into Meow Wolf or any of those exhibits where they're like, no professional equipment allowed. So that's my goal for next summer, is to sneak that into Meow Wolf and do a professional shoot. I probably won't take video while I'm in there for copyright reasons. But I'll definitely do the photos, and I'll vlog what I can. Like I might vlog against a wall or something. I also don't know the music situation. I've never been to Meow Wolf, so we'll see. Really? See, I might have to look. Is the GX80, is that a crop or a micro? A micro 3/4? Because I don't know. You need an unprofessional cam, a GR3 or an... Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was a mic. See, and that's the thing, is like Lumix is like the masters at micro 3/4. And like I don't know why micro 3/4 gets as much hate as it does, because the ones I've looked at are just so cool. Like it is such a cool concept of a tiny little mirrorless camera that you can sneak anywhere you want. Where they tell you can't take it, and like that's really what 2x crop. Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's not even that small. Like I think Nikon's crops are times 1.5, and Canon's are times 1.6. Both the Olympus. Yeah, okay. I knew the Olympus was, but I wasn't sure about the GX80. And lenses aren't quite as expensive. I've noticed that too with the micro 3/4. They can be smaller than some. See, and that's the thing about point and shoots. Point and shoots are dead. Like, I hate that conversation that the cell phone camera killed the digital camera, because all it did was kill point and shoots and kind of bridge cameras. Point and shoots, like, they're down. Lumax are the same. It is this. Okay, now I didn't know that either. I did not know that. That's actually really cool. So you can just use the same ones. Is it a C mount? Like what mount? What mount is that? It'd be really cool if it was the K mount, because I have a ton of old Pentax cameras, lenses. Well, I have one Pentax camera, but I have a ton of lenses because those lenses are so cheap. People haven't figured out how great the K mount is. Oh, it is just called the micro 3/4 mount. Okay. But yeah, people haven't figured out the Pentax yet. You can get adapters for it. Yeah, I assumed you could. Basically everything has an adapter for it now, which is actually really, really, really fantastic. Is this the same size? So this is my variable ND lens. They are the same size. So we're just gonna go right here. Really, even C mount. So I could get, micro 3/4 with a cinema lens. I think that would be really cool, because some of those cinema lenses, like micro 3/4, like that lens size has to be pretty close to 16 millimeter, like 16 millimeter film. So I wonder how that would look. I wonder what the crop factor on an old cinema lens would be. Like not a Super 35. 4/3, not. Oh, see, this shows you how much I know about that mount size. To me, it was just all the same. So 4/3, micro 4/3, slightly larger since. Okay, so if it's slightly larger, then those old Super 16 lenses would probably have some really, really cool vignetting. About a 1-inch. Okay. Like some really cool vignetting. I guarantee it. I bet it would look really cool. I bet I would really like that. I'm gonna have to do that now. I'm such an old. Yeah. And see, when it's natural like that from the lens, I like it more than when people add it in Photoshop. But I love cinema lenses. Like cinema lenses are insane. Like it's a completely manual lens. And they're like ridiculous f-stops too. Like we're talking like f1.2 is like standard. Yes. Yeah, absolutely do that. Absolutely do that. I will that sounds amazing. And the CCTV lens. So did you see my video on the Super 8 digital camera? It was a really long one. You might not have. It came out a little while ago now. I'll do it. There it is. And this is my Black Mist 1/4 Nano X Pro. And those both fit very nicely. Actually, this is coming along right. Okay, so yeah, so that is a C mount. And we're using a ton of those little things. You are now in my primary Instagram messaging. That is, look at that depth of field. There's like, that depth of field is almost non-existent. Like it is super, super sharp on that f1.6, it looks like. And then everything else is just blurred. Oh, that's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. So no, yeah, that natural vignette, like that's the thing about cinema lenses. Cinema lenses are just ridiculous. And I have all those crazy control knobs on the outside, like on my that Super 8 has those crazy control knobs. I just absolutely love those control knobs. Oh yeah, that 35 millimeter 1.6, that bokeh, the bokeh and that portrait, that is money. Yeah, no, Dwayne, you're completely right. This is a studio. This is basically going to be for going on location. So like the coffee shop video we did, I would have taken this. When we get back into my studio, now that things are calming down, it sounds like the other photographer I share it with, really only 20 bucks. Sorry. The other photographer I share it with is getting more comfortable with the idea of reopening up the studio. So that means we're going to need a hard case to go to the studio essentially, because the studio is another town away from me. But for using this on my normal going out to the park, going out to this, that, and the other, yeah, no, you're right. Oh yeah, it is well, still, like, even though it's a CCTV lens, like, it's pretty sharp from what you sent me. Like, I am quite impressed with how sharp that is. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, we got to fit my GoPro in here now. And try to line it up on a line this time, because I haven't been doing that. You know, I like the 50 millimeter G Master. I used Nick Del Duca's. Gonna be 100% honest with you, the Samyang is like $250 cheaper. Now that's cool. Mini Helios 44. That is really cool. Because I haven't used the Helios 44, but I've seen images of it on Instagram of people who have, and it is absolutely amazing. The 50G Master, though, like, the quality of the Samyang cannot be underestimated. Like, the Yongnuo was pretty sharp. The Yongnuo, which I use on a lot of my crop sensor cameras, it's an amazing lens, but it wasn't as sharp as like a Pro Series full frame 50 1.8 done by Nikon. But the Samyang competes with the G Master. I really do think so. I would put it head to head with the G Master. Actually, I think that's what I called my video. The first look I did. That might have been the 85. You know, and I like that swirling bokeh. I wish I could put crop sensor Sony lenses on the A7 III, but the A7 III can like detect when you put a crop sensor on it, and it decides that it doesn't want to play anymore. That's basically what it's doing. Is it's like, yeah, no, we're going into crop sensor mode now, and it's like, well, that kind of sucks. Like, why would you go into crop mode? I don't want to go into crop mode. I want the vignette. I want the swirling. That's ridiculous. A 17 millimeter f.95. Like, I want an f.95 so bad. Like, I get really excited thinking about it. I really, really, really want one. I don't want to pay for one though. They're not exactly the cheapest lens in the world. Now 500 though, like, for but I have to buy a micro 4/3 camera though. Like, 500 is a lot. Like, 500 is what I paid for that 85 millimeter 1.4. But I mean, I guess it's not a lot when you put it in context of it's an f.95. So I guess it really isn't all that much. Oh, I can only imagine what that low light capability is. Like, I mean, the low light capabilities on an f1.8 are amazing. Like, you drop down, I think, f1.8 is like half a stop from f1.4. I think f1.4 to f9.5 is like a full stop. Like, that's, yeah, that's definitely out of my price range. Yeah, 2 stops. That's insanity. Two stops. Yeah, that's okay. So it's not 1.5. It's not 1.5 stops. It's full 2 stops. It is a full 2 stops. When you start getting into numbers like that, like, that's insanity. Oh, and Dwayne, I love these live chats. The Helios 43 millimeter. Oh, 50 millimeter. Now, how do you like the 50 millimeter f2 bokeh on that, Dwayne? Because like, I'm always curious. I always have to ask that kind of stuff because I'm always like f2, like f2.8 with this 18 millimeter here. You know, it's not very good bokeh. I mean, f2.8, you don't really expect really good bokeh. I did that portrait session with Jessica when I reviewed it in the park, and I was shooting at f2.8, and you could see the background pretty clearly. I mean, it wasn't sharp by any means, but you could see it kind of clearly. Soap bubbles bokeh. Can you send me an example of that on Instagram? Because I'm pretty curious about that. Because that I don't really know how to visualize that. Like soap bubbles. Soap bubbles sounds insane. Okay, you guys, let's see if this all fits in here now. Oh, I put that in wrong, didn't I? Sweet. I'm excited to see that. And it's so interesting, like the micro 4/3 cameras. Like Dwayne talks a lot about like me and him talk a lot about point and shoots, micro 4/3, you know, smaller, more compact cameras, cell phone photography, stuff like that. And like there's a weird balance between you know, the full frame cameras and those smaller compact cameras and what's of convenience. And you know, like I was saying, I want to get an A7C, which Dwayne will be about the size of this camera, the A6100, but a full frame sensor because I want to be able to sneak it into places where you're not allowed to have it. I was letting my grandmother, congratulating her that her surgery went well. So A73. Okay, let's see how this works. Oh, you're stuck again. What are you stuck on? Every time I mess with something, you get stuck on something. There we go. I have had it for several years, but I haven't tried it out going to this week. Some say the bokeh is more visible. And that's the weird thing too, is bokeh is such a strange, you know, a strange thing. Like, okay, but so like the strange thing about bokeh is the bigger you go, the crazier the bokeh gets. But the smaller you go, like the more compact and easy. So it's like this weird balance that you have to walk through. And like I like intense bokeh. I like really creamy bokeh because I'm weird like that. So like those really insane fast lenses, and I think it comes from large format. You know, doing large format portraits with my my Birkin James 4x5. That wasn't all the way down because at f5.6 with that Birkin James, the bokeh, like Ariana's eye would be completely in focus, but her nose, the tip of her nose would be out of focus. Or I guess better example is the tip of her nose would be in focus, the back of her nose would be out of focus. Like that's how insane the bokeh is there. And the weird thing is too is like focal focal length, how far back the background is from them, like everything that affects bokeh. It's such a like a weird thing. So it's like any of those beginner photography pages I'm on when people are like, how do I get bokeh? It's like, well, what camera are you using? Like f-stop is only so much of that equation. I mean, it's an important part of that equation. I don't have any bulking, which means the plastic is good. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat. But like, cool. So I don't have any bulking in the case, which means that everything is fitting nicely so far. Let me show you guys real quick. So that is my plastic case on location studio setup. I think that that will work nicely. If I get more lenses, I'm definitely going to have to get a bigger box. But I'm going to GoPro batteries. They're convenient because they have a pull tab on them. Yeah, the A6100 definitely wouldn't fit in here. I knew that was the original plan, but that's not going to fit. This box isn't going to be used a whole lot. This is primarily going to be for when I'm going to the studio or I'm going to a location indoors where I won't need any of my sunshades or anything like that. But I think overall, it has come together very, very nicely. If I get any more lenses at all. The lens came from Ukraine. It was modified. Oh, absolutely, Dwayne. I'm really curious on how that looks. Like those old Soviet lenses. Oh, I forgot my adapter rings. Those old Soviet lenses are just so mind-bogglingly cool to me. I don't know why. Maybe because my first large format camera was an old Soviet one. It was some like one weird it was like a size that's not all that common anymore. I think it was half plate, so 5x7. Hi, TT. So yeah, it was a 5x7 large format, so it was half plate. Really, really neato. But the old Soviet stuff is super interesting. I don't know how well you guys can hear that, but is the video turning into an ASMR video? I did a pretty good job guessing that size. I got lucky there. So I'm currently just pinching away for my adapter rings to fit. Now, Dwayne, on that Pelican case you had mentioned, did you have to do the pinch yourself? Do you remember if the foam was smaller than what I'm dealing with? These are 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. I think I remember the Pelicans having smaller foam, so you could be way more precise, because this definitely isn't super clean. Oh, that and I don't have a knife. An X-Acto knife. It's like, what kind of artist am I? I don't have an X-Acto knife. There we go. So, full setup. We have Sony A73, Samyang 85 millimeter, Samyang 50 millimeter, Samyang 18 millimeter, GoPro Hero 8, 2 batteries for the GoPro because that just chews through batteries. K&F Concept ND filter, the variable. K&F Concept Black Mist Nano Pro 1/4 filter, and the K&F Concept step down rings. this would be a pretty common studio setup for me. It's almost exactly what I would take to the studio to do photography with instead of lugging around a bag. The foam cube's 1 inch by 1. Okay, 1 inch by 1 inch is way less convenient. I thought it was a lot smaller than that the last time I did one, but that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. I ended up selling that case. It was slow for like 6 months straight at the dealership. So that was back when I was a technician. But let's see, like bring it down, compress my foam. Now I just need to get my logo painted on it or get some stickers on it. But what I like about it for travel, I can lock it up. It's a nice hard case. It's waterproof. Well, they say it's waterproof. I'm not going to test it. It's supposed to float, but I'm going to tell you that this isn't going to float. It's too heavy with all my gear in it. But I'm happy that I was able to fit everything in there. Like that is really nice. Let me just. Oh, water and dust resistant, not waterproof. And then you can obviously see where the foam right here compressed a little bit from the 85 and the 50 millimeter lens. Really not a big deal. Because I've got, like I was saying, I've got 1.5 inches of foam like this up at the top and at the very bottom, which is compressing around my two lenses. So if I pull the foam completely out, I don't have any pressure on the lenses, but there's not really a point in me doing that. Well, I might carve out a little bit, make some room. Thank you. I found it on Amazon. I didn't want to get the Harbor Freight one. I've used the Harbor Freight one before, and like it's okay, but they didn't have like the medium size that I wanted. So like it was either too big, which I don't need something super huge just to go to the studio, or it was really, really tiny and like it wasn't the right setup for me. So I got on Amazon and found this. Again, this video is not sponsored or anything, but this is the name of the brand. If you're looking, they have a ton of these. Is everything mirrored for you guys? Everything might be mirrored. To me, the downside was when I changed equipment and had to pay for the foam. Yeah, and see, Pelican foam is expensive. And it's really not that great for like everyday use. This would not go on an urban photo session with me. It wouldn't go to the park with me either. I might take this one, like when we do videos out at the park or we do videos downtown, like definitely not downtown. It might come to the park with me. There's a possibility of that. It kind of depends on how the day looks. If I'm using the ND filter, I can't put one of the sun visors on it anyways, because the way it sits, it just does not fit correctly. And so why which part? Why I wouldn't take it downtown with me? If that's the question, why I wouldn't take it downtown with me, it's because I would have to put it down every time I went to go do photos. So like if I went to the park and the park is empty, when we're doing a photo session there, I can put it down, like I would my camera bag. And I can leave it there, grab what I need. We can do the photo sessions, pick it up, move to the next spot. But if I'm downtown, there's so many people around that I don't want to leave it off my persons, especially with all the photographers that have been robbed lately. So now if I'm downtown, everything goes in a backpack and it's right on my back and ready to go. But if I'm at the park or in an establishment like the coffee shop video, then yeah, I would take the hard case. I can slide it next to me. It's not a big deal. But for the most part, I try to keep the backpack on my back. Now, there were some things that I aspired to fit into this case that we weren't able to fit. So I wanted to be able to put the A6100 in there, my vlogging camera. That did not fit. So I didn't put the 3 batteries in with it. And I don't use the audio inputs on the A73 or on the GoPro. I don't have the adapter for the GoPro. If I had the adapter, it'd be different. So I did not put my Rode wireless mic and transmitter in the case. Instead, it's a pretty basic, small setup to get me to the studio, take care of a photo session, and rock and roll. Yeah, so like I was talking earlier with a Stolum. I think that's how you pronounce it. I might be wrong. That I wanted to get the Yashica Y35. And so the Y35 is this weird camera that Yashica came out with, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. It could be longer. And it came with film canisters. And each one of those film canisters was a different, had different settings in it. So it acted like film. It had a fixed ISO. It was supposed to be like a film 35 millimeter camera. Those canisters were about the size of a 35 millimeter film canister. And it completely bombed. Like, it was totally terrible. No one liked it. It was junk. And so I thought, okay, well, I can find one super, super cheap online. And I got on eBay last night and they're like $600. So sadly, we won't be doing a video on that anytime soon. The A7C is my next big purchase. Camera wise, lenses, I want to get the Samyang 24-70 2.8 that they just came out with. It's supposed to be the one lens to rule them all, but we all know that how that actually works out. And then you consider using electrical tape or Sharpie to black out your camera mode. So there is something I don't discuss generally in my videos. I don't worry too much about someone seeing me with the camera, so much so as someone doing a grab and run. And the reason for that is I usually, if I'm downtown, Nick Del Duca is there with me, the model is with me, and 9 times out of 10, their boyfriend is with me as well. And for the most part, we have the means to defend ourselves. YouTube's stickler about what I can and can't say. And so I'm more worried about putting the case down and having it snatched and grabbed than I am someone trying to rob me. The other thing about that is my camera's insured. Like, if someone does come and rob me and they have the drop on me, by all means, I'm going to hand them my camera. I'll make a claim. I'll get a brand new one. And then when they sell it and those photos inevitably end up online, I can track it based on the settings I have on the camera that marks every photo. I can look it up online using one of the photos I have with that, the serial number or whatever it is in the data, the metadata of the image. But I do have the means to defend myself, as well as Nick Del Duca does and the boyfriends that are usually with us on those sessions. The town I live in is like 70,000 people. It's not a big deal. If it was the town I grew up in, where my studio is at, I always lock the door to the studio when I'm in there, and I always have a means to defend myself when I'm in the studio. So I don't really worry too much there. I really don't want to put tape on my camera. Like, I'm really proud. I saved up, all this money in order to get it, and I worked really hard, and so I don't want to Sharpie it. I've considered gaffer's tape, and I have used gaffer's tape in the past to cover. I have used gaffer's tape in the past to cover the logos when I was in Denver, which is the capital of our state, and Pueblo. When I'm in Pueblo, I bring the cheapest DSLR I have. I don't take anything nice to Pueblo, because why would you do that? Yeah. So YouTube's a real stickler about that. I was going to do a video on photography, self-defense, and I also was going to do one on my landscape what I carry when I go landscape and do landscape photography. And I actually made the video and everything. I might put it on my Patreon because YouTube would be not happy with that, because we have bears. And I made the video right after we got back from Pagosa. I did the D5100 landscape, or maybe it was the D40. I don't remember which one, in Pagosa Springs. It was the 50 millimeter challenge. That's right. And so Pagosa Springs is about an hour, about 45 miles from a town called Durango. And Durango is one of my favorite towns ever. And about a week before we went to Pagosa, a lady was mauled to death by a bear. And so I did this video about landscape safety and how we have predators in North America. And, you know, like last year, a guy in Horsetooth, which is, you know, just north of me, not too far north, Reservoir, he was attacked by a mountain lion and he ended up strangling it to death because it was a little baby mountain lion. But so I was going to do a whole video on landscape safety in the United States because we have predators in our, and we just have wolves now. There are now wolves in Colorado for some reason. I was like, we got rid of them in the 40s for a reason, but we have wolves now. And so I did a whole video on landscape photography, my kit, and how I protect myself. And, you know, for the most part, it's like an air horn and bear spray, and then the thing that YouTube doesn't like. And so I just never put the video out because I felt like I'd be dishonest to my audience by not being really clear with them on what I was doing. I just noticed that this camera is crooked. There we go. So it's an interesting take on things. YouTube's rules make it, you know, really, really weird. And I really do not want to be demonetized because, you know, the channel, I really enjoy making videos. I don't want to get kicked off YouTube because they don't like something I have to say. So apparently it's going to snow again today. We got 8 inches over the weekend, over a New Year's Eve, actually. We got 8 inches in where I live. And we're supposed to get like 4 to 6 more inches tonight, which is great because we hadn't had snow on the Front Range, measurable snow, until this last snowstorm over New Year's Eve. So I'm not ready for it. I'm off tomorrow at least, so more videos. I wanted to do some snow photography this week. I had 2 sessions scheduled Monday, both canceled. I had a session scheduled today. That one was canceled. So hopefully the 2 tomorrow and the 2 on Friday do not cancel because I had a whole bunch of video ideas. Oh yeah, Sophie won't go outside either. Sophie's my little dog. You like that? You say it has different self-defense laws. Now that's true. I wasn't talking about self-defense in that manner. It was more self-defense with bears, mountain lions, wolves, things like that. And my big thing is bear spray and air horn. Really, the thing that YouTube doesn't like is a last resort in those situations. Bear spray has always served me well. In fact, the air horn. I've used the air horn more than anything else. The only time I used bear spray was when the bear was not having it. And, you know, I've used air horns with elk, mountain lions, and 1 bear, or 2 bears, because 1 bear wasn't having it. Moose are the only ones that don't respond to air horns. I stay away from moose. Moose are like 1,600 pounds of terror, and they don't like dogs. And if I'm in the mountains, the dog's with me. And so they're like llamas. Llamas don't like dogs either for some reason. Which is funny because, like, people are switching to putting llamas in their sheep herds instead of a dog because the llama will protect the sheep from coyotes and wolves. Coyotes are the big ones that I've run into. Like, I've run into a lot of coyotes. There's a ton of coyotes around here. Mountain lions and bears are really rare, really, really rare. I'm not going to do a street photography video on self-defense. Really? Yeah, dude, moose are terrifying. Stay away from moose. Moose are terrifying. When we were in Alaska, we just had bear spray and an air horn. And we saw like, moose in Alaska are like squirrels here. Like, they're everywhere. Or elk in Estes Park. Like, there's a bajillion elk. They are huge. They're like 8 feet tall or something. Like, it's something insane like that. They're way too big. They shouldn't be that big. Yeah. Moose are terrifyingly big. Elk are big. I mean, elk aren't as big as moose. But elk are a lot more aggressive. For the most part, a moose will let you be. Elk, though, even in Estes Park, where people think they're And see, 4 to 5 inches. So like we were in a high wind warning yesterday, and we didn't get any wind. The mountains are supposed to get pummeled tonight, though. The mountains are supposed to get like feet of snow tonight. I think one of the passes, Cameron Pass, I think they were saying like 3 or 4 feet of snow tonight. So that's going to be bad in the spring because that's where we had that huge fire. By the way, I was evacuated from that fire 4 times. The Cameron Peak fire. I was evacuated 4 times. The day it started, I was camping near there. A week later, I was camping like 56 miles north and got evacuated. Got evacuated from Estes Park when it hit Rocky Mountain National Park. And then there was a voluntary evacuation for the west side of my town. You could actually see it from my back patio. So I was like, cannot believe this. And then we had the big ones just last week in Boulder. Those 2 big fires. I mean, they weren't huge acreage wise, but like the whole town of Superior is like gone. My wife, a couple of her coworkers lost homes in that fire, and because she works down in Boulder County, and so like she had coworkers lose homes in that fire. Like there's 2 people missing now, and apparently it's the Marshall fire was like started on like some cult's property is what they're suspecting now. So like that's a thing that's going on. Colorado's gotten weird. If I can move to Montana or Alaska, like, or Durango. Okay, so you are participating. Put your link in the comments, Terry. But yeah, no, it's insane. If I had any art pieces, I would be doing that. I should put a post on my community page for that. Send me that link in text too, Terry, TT. And I will put it on my community post, and I'll probably make a TikTok or a YouTube short about it as well. Just send it to me on Facebook Messenger or text it to me. But yeah, no, it's just Colorado's kind of getting weird. It's everyone moving here. Like it's a lot of people moving here, and then they yell at us that have always been here. Like I love that, like this last weekend in the neighborhood watch page I'm in on Facebook because I like watching the drama. It did not work. You're gonna have to send it to me separately. In the neighborhood watch that I'm in, people are complaining about all the terrible drivers. And everyone's like, all the natives are terrible. It's like, no. I can bring up insurance statistics from when we had the influx in the population, and my car insurance rates went up, like because they were supposed to go down when I turned 25, and they shot up, and it totally wasn't even my fault. The only ticket I've ever had was for expired tags, like because I was too much of a bum to go and get them renewed. It was like 10 years ago too. I try to keep it. I try not to break the law. I try. I mean, I'll go and take railroad photos. Like I absolutely will. I have no qualms against that. That video, actually, it's funny because I shared that on a bunch of different Facebook groups. And Dwayne, you were not the only one that reached out and was like, oh yeah, I've been harassed for that. Or I've seen groups with rules like that. I had so many people tell me their story. Like I'm going to have to do a follow-up video talking about that because I had a couple people get mad because they said it was clickbaity, but I don't think it's clickbaity by the amount of stories that I heard of people dealing with that insanity. It's ridiculous. No, it's absolutely ridiculous how serious people take stuff like that. So it has already started snowing here. Lovely. Man, I do love the snow. So we'll see how well that works out. But we've been here for about an hour and a half now, you guys. I'll give you more notice next time I decide to live stream. I just live streamed today because I wanted to create some content. I've been getting stir crazy at the house. I haven't been able to create any content at all because everyone was canceling on me all week, which I mean is fine. Like life happens. I get that. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to call anyone out. They're all great models. Like everyone I work with is just absolutely fantastic. I love working with all of them. But things come up. Life comes up. So I was getting a bit stir crazy. And I was like, well, I've really got to do this hard case because the studio should be opening back up here soon. So I should get this hard case done. And if I get the hard case, while I'm doing it, I can live stream. I can do some content creation for you guys. So I don't have another big video coming out this week. I know the last 2 weeks I dropped 2 full-length videos on Christmas week and on New Year's week. I won't be dropping another full-length video this week. I have some shorts lined up. Wait, what did Dwayne say? For your users, to use a light meter app on your phone or take your reading. Oh, so I do all my readings with the camera. If I'm doing film, I use a light meter. But other than that, like the first photo, I do a light. With the DSLRs. Generally, I have a good idea of what my settings need to be at based on just using them in the experience. So if I'm at f1.8, 9 times out of 10, I'll be at 100 ISO. If it's super sunny, we're at 1/1000th for the first photo. If it's overcast like it is today, I'd probably be at 1/150th, 1/60th. If it's kind of bright, then, like 200th or so, 500th or so. Usually I'll take one photo with a DSLR, get it right where I want it. I tend to over or underexpose on purpose. I don't watch the line as much as I should. I use that light meter more than anything. With the mirrorless, it just shows me on the back and I can get it set up and start taking photos. If I'm doing film photography, I absolutely have a light meter. Every photo I take, I meter before I take it. I use a phone app light meter, which actually take a picture and it tells you what settings to use, as well as a Sekonic B that I have. Those are the 2 light meters that I'll generally use. But with a digital camera, I usually don't meter my light outside of the camera. But yeah, no. So like I said, I won't have any full-length videos again this week. It's all going to be shorts for the rest of the week. I do have a full-length video coming out next Tuesday. Tuesday seems to be my favorite upload date. I don't know why. That's how it ended up being, and it happens to work out really well. School for me starts on the 18th, which is a Tuesday. It's not going to cut into content at all. I've figured out how to weigh my content, what I can create with school. Like last semester was the first semester where I didn't take a break for finals or midterms week. So I think I have it pretty well balanced, a YouTube life balance, school balance setup. I'll still be working 3 jobs as well as doing YouTube and school. So I think that I've got it figured out where I don't burn myself out like I did the first semester that I attempted this. Because, yeah, I think I started school a year into YouTube. But yeah, so no more full-length videos this week. I'll have some shorts. I got a full-length video coming out on Tuesday. I don't know which video I'm going to drop yet. I've got like 4 ready to go. Oh, hello. We're just doing our sign-off. I was explaining that I won't have any more full-length videos this week. I know Christmas week, New Year's week, I did 2 full-length videos with shorts. So the rest of my videos this week are going to be YouTube shorts. The full-length video will be out again on Tuesday. I want to try to get to a point where I can comfortably make 2 to 3 full-length videos a week, but with school and 3 jobs, that does not necessarily, I don't want to burn out, basically. So, yeah, I'm glad that you guys all joined me for this. We had a great conversation. If any of you want to reach out, again, you can reach out on Instagram. I talked to a couple of you on Instagram. I talked to Dwayne on Facebook pretty regularly. Talked to Terry. Yeah, it looks like everyone here is who I talk to pretty regularly. So you guys all know how to get a hold of me. But yeah, no, thank you guys for joining the live stream. That was a great hour and a half. If you want to see more live streams like this, let me know. I like doing them. I like talking about photography. It's a little bit, yeah, no, see, and that's the thing is like, I am getting ready to, so I'm a history major. And so I burned out my first and second semester of school, but this last semester, I think I did a pretty good balance. I didn't have to take any breaks. But no, so with everything going on, with the studio opening back up, and that'll probably be in the fall. The studio will most likely be opening back up in the fall. We'll start doing videos there because I really, really miss studio photography a lot. The garage studio is cool and all, but it's really not cutting it. But yeah, so if you guys like these, let me know. I will do more live streams. We can literally just sit down, have some coffee and tea, and we'll just talk about photography. Bachelor in Science. See, that sounds way more intensive than history. Because I'm supposed to read all these history books and write papers on them. And I already know what they want me to read. So it's like, I'm just going to write down what I know, and it happens to work out. But I'm going to sign off now, you guys. You guys have a good afternoon. I've got some laundry that I need to finish up, and I need to finish cleaning the house so it's nice and clean when my wife gets home, because I'll be at work when she gets home. So that's always my nice little surprise for her, is when I clean up the house. And I'll catch you guys all on the flip side. Bye.